Hello, and welcome to the Afterlife. I'm Dre.
I'm Luke, and we're going to be doing something different today. We're going to be summarizing the UAP Transparency Conference that just happened, and we're just going to jump right into it.
Rep. Tim Burchett, quote, "The intelligence community shut down an amendment I tried to include in the FAA reauthorization bill," end quote. It would just require the Federal Aviation Administration to report UAP sightings by commercial pilot sightings to Congress, end quote. I was told that bill was killed by the intelligence community, and I corrected him and I said, "Intelligence Committee," and he said, "No, the intelligence community." And as they say, when you're over the target, that's when you get the most fire, end quote. Again, they spend a whole hell of a lot of time and effort and money to tell us something that exists does not exist, end quote. It all comes down to one word, and that word is transparency, end quote. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, quote, "It is unacceptable that any mid-level unelected bureaucrat staffers can tell members of Congress that we are not allowed to access information about UAPs. Let me be clear that we are the representatives of people that sent us here to do the right things. Unelected bureaucrats do not get to say what we can and cannot see. We have had 3-star generals tell us that we do not have authorized access to this information. But yet, how do you expect us to continue to send taxpayer money to fund government projects if you're not even allowing us to see what those projects are?" End quote. The American people deserve to know as much about the existence in this universe as possible. They certainly have a right to know whether or not their safety is threatened. End quote. Rep. Jared Miskowitz, quote, "The reason why I got involved is as we started asking questions, legitimate questions, the pushback we got is what interested me. Every time we pulled a thread and stumbled on something, it seemed that we would get stonewalled. NASA has stated the term UAP does not necessarily imply extraterrestrial origin, which means we could be making these things domestic. If these are advanced technologies, we're not interested in hurting national security, but we are interested in what these UAPs are," end quote. I think the American people have a simple question. If none of this exists, if this is all false, why at every turn are there people trying to stop the transparency and the disclosure? Why are folks who are in charge of committees, whether they are in the House or in the Senate, opposed to this disclosure? End quote. Rep. Matt Gaetz, quote, "We are here today because all of the whistleblowers, the hearings, the investigations, the discussions, the work that we have done have culminated in a negotiation that is happening in real time right now over the National Defense Authorization Act, a piece of legislation I care deeply about as a member of the House Armed Services Committee. And in that negotiation, we are fortunate that the amendment Congressman Burchett offered to the House version of the NDAA provides a beachhead for us to be able to get the answers and to be able to demand the transparency that is necessary. It is insufficient, though, to seek this transparency from the Department of Defense alone. We have to have cooperation so that Title 50 authorities through the intelligence community are also subject to review, that the FAA, the NSA, the FBI, Even state and local authorities that have information are able to have that cataloged, assessed, and then put out before the public. It is my belief that the Burchett Amendment is the strongest position when coupled with the additional authorities and additional agencies that I have just mentioned in order to be able to get to that productive result. Unfortunately, we have members of the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee who right now are frustrating the effort that we are putting forward in order to be able to obtain the information and move forward. End quote. We're here to call for the most inclusive, most robust provisions possible to be included in the NDAA. We don't want to see a lot of logjams created. End quote. If we achieve that objective, I think we can start to restore some of the trust the public has. But as we work through the finer points of that legislation, we felt it was important today to come forward and express where the logjams exist, where the opportunities lay before us, and we will pursue those with great vigor. End quote.
And those were just some of the highlights that I picked out that I found interesting. It's looking like we're getting pretty close to disclosure. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think this could be a historical day.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Um, if you watch the video, which we'll have linked in the description, they kind of say they don't really, I'm paraphrasing, but they kind of say they don't really care whether it's aliens exist or they don't exist. They keep saying that it's not really, are aliens real? Are they fake? They're more interested in what is the government hiding. Um, as they mentioned, a lot of them were getting stonewalled, as they were saying, from a lot of generals in the Pentagon and a lot of other higher ranking government authorities. So, one thing that stuck out to me was I don't know who it was, but I believe it was this one guy in a suit with a red tie. I think he came in around the 12-minute mark of the video. So if you guys check it
Yeah.
out and you know who he is, let us know. Because he was introduced. But one thing that stuck out to me was that he said that he knew of naval officers that feared that they weren't going to be able to defend themselves against UAPs. I'm kind of paraphrasing. I don't know the exact words he was using, but
Yeah, because they're like basically flying around in circles compared to
yeah.
like, the technology we have.
So I did find that was interesting. He didn't name any names, so unfortunately that's kind of hearsay. Am I saying that's false? No. But unfortunately, if you're not naming names, it's kind of hearsay. But it's still really cool. That did really stick out to me. Um, Also, when he talked about American farmers having a lot of sightings and he felt that they really needed to be in the know, that also stuck out to me. Um, because that was really just like, I don't know, the archetypal alien movie. If you think about it, there's like an alien and it, goes over some farm and, like in Signs, with Mel Gibson, crop circles. I don't know. That's just kind of like what it made me think of. And there was this game that used to be for the PS2, I think Xbox. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like this little alien dude you played as. And you ran around like zapping farmers and stuff because I think they'd come out and shoot you or something, or like stealing their cattle and like anyway, that's kind of what reminded me of because you'd kind of fly over and like in your little spaceship and hover over the cattle and zoom them up or zoom up the farmers. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like the classic alien in the country in the farmlands, which is a very interesting. What's the word I'm looking for? It's two sides to two different worlds, two very different worlds.
Right.
So
Like,
that
yeah, because like living in the country, it's almost like living in, I can't say the 1800s because a car just drove by me, but it's like
yeah,
different than living in a modern city where we're
exactly.
like a little closer to UFOs. But out here, it's like, yeah, we're kind of in the past to a degree.
Exactly. So I feel like it's just like two like very different worlds. I mean, even if they were to come into, Times Square or Tokyo, it'd be two very different worlds. But um anyway,
Yeah, the
that's
craziest thing to me is how just a few years ago, the thought of like politicians accepting UFOs would be wild. Like it used to be like crazy talk.
oh yeah, I know. It's like if when I was a kid you asked me about this, I wouldn't have, believed you. If you would have told me, "Oh yeah, they're going to confirm some kind of outer terrestrial life or some kind of UAPs." And again, they did kind of say, they weren't necessarily considered to be um,
Aliens.
they weren't, yeah, aliens. I was trying to think of the actual extraterrestrial. I don't know why I
Right.
couldn't think of that word. They said that doesn't necessarily mean they were extraterrestrial in nature. Um, but, again, like they kept saying in the video, they just kind of want to find out what's going on. So, I don't know. Tell us what you guys think. This is obviously going to be an ongoing um, subject that'll be coming up as they'll be having more hearings along with more information, more conferences. So, tell us what you guys think. If you guys think aliens exist, you believe in them, drop a comment. If you have a story, we'd love to hear it. But with that being said, I've been Dre.
And I've been Luke.
And as always, we'll see you on the other side.